Well, I'm finally done with my cargo trailer project. Just finish it up, put the rest of the lights on, and I'm going to just do a quick walk around video that will show what all I did. I'll start off with the trailer itself. It comes from Tractor Supply, and it's just a frame, 4x8 frame. I think it's about, I paid $350 for it, and there's no deck or anything, and I just put the plywood deck on it. First change I did was on this side. I put a standard RV style plug on it rather than the 4-prong because I wanted to add a bunch of lights, which I'll mention later. Basically all I did is I used a 3/4 inch plywood deck. I would have used pressure treated if I had the money, but I didn't, and I used 1/2 inch plywood for the sides and the top. If I was to do one of these again, I would paint all the wood first to kind of give you a little bit of extra waterproofing. Again, didn't have the money to buy the paint when I bought all the plywood, so I ended up doing that later. I'll come around the side here. Look at the top. These are all lights I added on. This is just marker lights, and then I also have some backup lights, which is why the RV type plug was necessary. I just wanted to have a little bit extra visibility. And then I have some the Stanley brand gate hinges for the door, and then this thing here in the middle, you can see I have these 2x4s around the edges that are kind of to try to help seal rain out and to provide a little bit of a cargo area. I was thinking water is going to pool up on that, so I put this little pipe up through. It's just a piece of 3/4 inch conduit to drain the water out, and I caulked around it really good and painted around it. Then down here I have some regular barrel locks to help hold it closed, as well as padlock, and then just a cheap old handle. So we'll take this off and have a look inside. I have a bunch of junk thrown in here already, but one thing I did is I have these eye bolts in the corners. I have 4 of them. I plan to add 4 more up top in the corners, about the same area, so that I can use the top to carry my canoe on or whatever. And I get some wires hanging around here. Then the switch will turn on the backup lights, so if I'm unloading in the dark, whatever, I have a little bit of light. The only downfall to that is when I turn those on, my truck backup lights come on as well, and I just get the wire stapled up out of the way here. I plan on painting the interior eventually when I have some more money for paint. I have this edge painted more just for looks than for anything. Okay, I'm back. My battery died on me. As I was saying, you can see that I put some bolts all the way through the hinges to kind of act as theft prevention. They're 1/4 inch carriage bolts. And also I had somebody ask me about bolting the plywood down. You can see I have some 1 inch by 1/4 inch carriage bolts that bolt down. There's 2 here, and there's 2 more underneath the rails, and then there's 5 rails underneath the trailer. So I have a total of 20 bolts bolting the 3/4 inch plywood down. And then the sides are just screwed on using these. This is all 2x4 that I cut in half to use for the frame. So you can get some cross pieces for a little extra strength up there. And then frame out the door, as well as here to stiffen up the door, top and bottom. The door, incidentally, I originally planned on being a side swinging door and having the whole back be the door. But when I went to put the back piece on it, it became apparent that it wasn't quite square, and I needed something to help hold square. So, with some help and suggestion from friends, I decided to just stick on the back piece and then cut the door out of it. The door ended up being 44 inches wide, and with the pieces I have on the inside for the door to run up against, I got just about 43 inches, which is barely enough to drive my four-wheeler in there, so I decided to carry it in there. These corner pieces here, so once again 2x4 cut in half, and I cut a notch out of it to make a trim piece here. It worked quite nicely, and then that's glued on as well as screwed on, so it's not coming off there anytime soon. I think I mentioned I plan on putting some eye bolts up here for cargo. I already have one little one hooked on. There's a point to hold the door open with a bungee cord. This is the paint I used. It's a severe weather exterior paint. I'm hoping that it's going to stand up well to being outside all the time. It's not an oil-based paint, which I was kind of wanting to have in hopes it would give me a little bit more reliability as far as shedding water. As I said, it's not pressure-treated wood at all, so hopefully it'll hold water out. I did caulk all my joints. I don't know how you can see it. How well you can see it in there, but that's all caulked into there with a silicone caulk all along the bottom, around all the trim, as well as underneath where the rails touch the plywood, because I didn't have the money to paint the plywood before I put it on. Otherwise I wouldn't have bothered. But yeah, it was a fun little project. I actually had somebody ask me about building him one. I don't know if he's serious or not. I almost hope he is, because it was a fun project and I learned a lot of things that I would do different. But definitely should be a handy little trailer. Time will tell.